This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
And good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be this wonderful Sunday morning. Father's Day, happy Father's Day to all you fathers or a grandfather like me out there. As a matter of fact, I had one of my grandkids sleeping over last night, and certainly keeps me on my toes. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber. We're here for the next 30 minutes here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. We are here for you. We're here for your pets. We're here to do whatever, talk about whatever you want to talk about. And so just give us a call if you want to chime in. You can reach us at 877-385-8882. Once again, that's 877-385-8882. Or better yet, you want to join us here live on Zoom, you can go on to PetLifeRadio.com. You scroll down to shows, click on Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff, and there is a link left for you by our producer, Mark Winter, and you can click and join us on right now. As you know, typically what I do is I like to start the show by going through the news at the American Animal Hospital Association Newsstat or AVMA Smart Brief. But today, we have a very special guest, someone who I was intrigued. I actually never met in person because she lives in Canada, but certainly on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's great for professional stuff. And right away, when I saw what she does, I said, oh my God, this is a perfect guest for our show. And her name is Suzana Gartner, and she is an animal lawyer. So obviously her clients are not the animals themselves. They are the owners probably of the animals or whatever the type of case is. But how cool is that actually specializing in animal law? And I was intrigued enough to reach out to Suzana. And sure enough, she agreed to be here with us. Suzana, good morning.
Or good morning. Good afternoon in Canada.
You're in Ontario, right? You're in Toronto?
I am in Ontario, yeah. I used to live in California, so I do miss a lot about California, but happy to talk to you from Ontario, Canada. It is warm here, just in case anyone's wondering.
We usually are. I think I may have told you this, but two of my former associates were both Canucks.
Yes.
And the most recent, Dr. Gale, actually went to Guelph, vet school at Guelph. The other one, Kara, went to vet school in Saskatoon at Western University, Western College, and in Saskatchewan. Anyway, so I was, first of all, very intrigued. Anyone who loves animals, clearly you have had in your life some bond to animals.
Yes, I've always loved animals. I started off as a volunteer in my teenage years, going to shelters, meeting homeless animals, and that's how the journey began in terms of building a career in pet law, animal law, and advocating for animal rights. So I've always had a love for them.
So you kind of never thought about maybe going to veterinary medicine, but you also wanted to become a lawyer.
I didn't. I come from a family of doctors, and so that probably would have been a natural progression. But I love speaking and debating, and so this seemed like a more appropriate fit. And because I had learned early on what really happened in the animal shelters, I became interested in pursuing that vocation at an early age. But at the time, there were no animal lawyers. So it's been a journey. It was always an interest of mine. So I think like going into veterinary medicine, there needs to be a love and affection for animals to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, where'd you go to law school, by the way?
I went to law school in Windsor. So I did the interest in, they have a US and Canadian program. So Windsor, Ontario. Yep.
So are you licensed also in the States in California?
I'm not at the moment. So I didn't work in California, but I mean, that's certainly something to consider in the future if I was to move back.
Well, I know that so my sister's a lawyer and a judge. My brother's an attorney, but he doesn't practice. He's in entertainment, so he's a producer now. But he did the legal thing at Fox. He was at Fox Legal. And I do understand from many that the California bar is one of the most difficult, and there's very little reciprocity when it comes to the California Bar Association.
I have heard that, yeah. But
so I would tell you, if you want to do it, study up. So did you do regular law first, or did you kind of finish just like directly helping and going into animal law?
Oh, yeah. No, not at all. So I started off in corporate and business law. And just slowly evolved into animal law by pursuing a Master of Laws. So after law school, you can do a master's program, and I chose to do that in mediation. So I'm also a mediator. I'd say even more than a lawyer. So I pursued that, and my professor was kind enough to allow me to write my thesis, my Master of Law thesis on animal law and how it relates to alternative dispute resolution processes. And since my passion was and always is animal shelter, homelessness, and the euthanasia rates, trying to decrease them, I was able to write my thesis on that topic. And so after I finished that, I started to consider starting my own animal law practice. Corporate law is wonderful. It brings in a lot of money, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And
Right.
I do encourage people to really pursue their passions, because the switch over to animal law was a completely different feeling and drive for me anyways.
It's interesting you say that because I talk to kids all the time, and I actually go back to my high school every year.
Cool.
They have a phenomenal career day, and I tell people that it's great to find it. It's so interesting when I talk about this class is divided, girls to boys, and now that like in the industry, there are more girls than boys.
Yeah.
But I said because okay, guys, here's the question. I'm going to ask first of all the women. If you had a choice between doing something that was your passion, you would love to do it every day, or something that is going to make you a lot of money, which would you choose? Typically, the girls go passion. The guys go, I want the money. I'll buy a lot of animals. I just want the money.
Yeah.
So it's very funny to see that. So
it is. Yeah.
So tell us about the types, because this is what I find interesting. I know that there is a woman here in Los Angeles who also does a lot of animal law. Her name is Jill Ryther, and so she does more like I get called in as an expert witness from her on mostly dog bite cases.
Yes.
And also some malpractice issues.
Sure.
And, but, I hear that also animal lawyers get involved in divorce cases. And what happens when poor Bowser is being tugged between or if there are multiple pets in the household, and we know that it's probably better for the pets to keep them together, but the parents that are splitting want to have one or the other. So give us some kinds of cool cases that you've done and how you break them down.
Okay. Yeah. No. So I'm so glad you brought that up because that is my expertise and interest area. And I do have the majority of clients that are involved in pet custody disputes. So for the most part, they're dogs, they're dog parents. We have, of course, cats. We even have horse, believe it or not, horse custody issues. But for the most part, it deals with the issue of what happens to, I say the word Fluffy, Fido, when the couple decides to split up. Because as an animal lawyer and mediator, I take a unique perspective and role in really considering the best interests of the animal in these situations. As we know, unfortunately, the laws have not evolved to treat companion animals in the same manner that we would like them to be. We regard them, most of us animal lovers regard them as our family members, furry friends, family members. But unfortunately, the laws have not evolved to that point. So the consideration that I always factor in is the best interest of the animal. And that, the good news for California, so all you California people out there, I feel, and I think that most lawyers would agree in this area, that California really is at the forefront in divorce cases. The best interest of the animal is being factored in. There's other states like Alaska that are doing the same, but unfortunately in Canada, it's not at that point yet. So when I'm dealing with these cases, for example, I have a couple, they split up and they were together for a year and they have a dog. They don't have children, and that dog is their family. That is their child. They're a same-sex couple. I have people from all cultures, all backgrounds, diverse ages. And what I learn is that dog is their family member. And when they are in a contentious relationship at the end, right? So they're trying to split up.
Right.
Then I really try to think about what's best for the dog and not necessarily what's best for them. But that being said, you have to take into consideration the client's interest, because the dog, of course, is my client, but the couple I have to work with them, right? The dog, unfortunately, doesn't have Fluffy doesn't have a say in this, really. So I try to come up with custody.
Nor access to the checkbook, but go ahead.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So I have to factor in the arrangements. So I come up with custody arrangements in terms of sharing custody and possession. And then some couples will do ownership agreements where they come to an agreement as to who is the rightful owner. Are they going to be co-owners? Because unfortunately, again, I go back to the principle of animals being treated as property in the laws. So I try to help them come up with an agreement so that they don't end up in the courts. That's my main goal, right?
Absolutely. Now, it's interesting also that one of the things that I deal with a lot are, as I said, dog bite cases.
Oh, yeah.
And, in California, the rules are pretty straightforward. Sometimes it's a bit unfortunate, but, if one dog is on leash controlled and the other one is off leash, the dog off leash is 100% responsible, regardless of the amount of damage or the type of damage.
Interesting.
If both are off leash, again, regardless of the damage to one or the other, each pet owner, pet parent is responsible for their own dog.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's great.
If they are both on leash and under control, and they just happen to walking and they better start going at each other, one is a bigger dog that takes a much bigger chunk out of the smaller dog. Again, since they were both on leash with control, we've got to talk about this in a second. Then again, each one is responsible for their own. Now, except if there's an extend a leash, because be very careful out there with flexi leads. Not that people like them. I find them to be rather dangerous.
So do I.
And I think that you think you have control, but you don't really have control, because sometimes that dog is going to go so fast, whether it's to another dog or sometimes he's in the street because it sees another dog across the street. You think you're under control. No. So I have concerns about that. How is it in Canada, and how do you deal with it?
Well, so in Canada, it's somewhat similar. It might be more stringent in terms of the liability. So the liability of the owner. So the dog biting parent, guardian, owner, that person would be liable for damages, regardless of the situation, although it can be mitigated when we are retained and dealing with the prosecution. So trying to come up with some kind of agreement. It is quite strict, though, in terms of liability, so that the dog owner is responsible for damages that occurred to they call them the victim of the other dog. Who's been harmed, or if it's a person, or if it's against a person, then it becomes more,
Right. And now if the dog was under control and, on a leash, and the victim, whether it's another dog or owner, comes up to that dog on a leash, which, by the way, is what happened to my sister, then what are the responsibilities? And, in my sister's case, she had a dog that she's seen a lot walking her dogs, and she saw she was walking without her dogs, and she just bent down typically to say hi. And the dog jumped up and literally bit her on the nose, and she's had a couple of plastic surgeries on the nose.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry to hear that.
So the thing is, the reason why I think the insurance companies got involved is that the owner should have, it turned out that it had been known that this dog does not like to be approached head on in the face.
Oh.
And he did not warn my sister, but no, don't do that. Literally, I got nailed on the hand right there. It's a scar. Okay.
Oh, no.
And I'm this cute little Pomeranian kind of dog, and I kneel down and I'm petting it.
It was a Pomeranian dog? That was the dog?
No, the one that bit my sister was a big dog.
Oh, because I was going to say that.
The same kind of thing. So, look, I've been bitten a few times, and it's part of the job. But
sure.
This is so funny. So I see this dog. I go in first. I say hi, and it looks totally, it didn't have any of the body positioning that this is a problem, right? That I should be aware. So I go down and I offer my hand to give a little, pet under the chin, and it just nailed me.
Oh no! And the owner didn't say anything.
No, exactly. Kind of wait, it's worse. The owner says, he goes, "Oh my God, yeah, he's done that before." Well, which way were you going to tell me?
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Yeah, no, I mean, of course, there should be liability, and it's the responsibility of the owner, right? That's what people need to know, is that dogs are, of course, they're wonderful, they're lovely creatures. At the end of the day, though, you are responsible for your dog, and informing pedestrians, other people, other dog owners of the temperament and behavior of the dog, even though dogs, again, can be unpredictable, especially if they're older dogs. Yeah.
I want to go. We got to talk for a quick break, Suzana, but I want to go and tell you also some other instances. I'm just very curious to hear your take. So don't go away. We'll be right back talking to dog attorney Suzana Gartner from Toronto, from Ontario, and we'll be back after these short messages.
Mojo would swallow things whole. A chicken carcass, a bird nest, and assorted stones and sticks. After surgery, Mojo had skin issues. He was constantly itching and scratching, chewing the hair right off of his legs.
DINOVITE.com.
On the Dinovite, all of these symptoms disappeared.
Dinovite is nutrition.
If you love your dog, you need to put him on Dinovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And welcome back. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, along with our special guest, Suzana Gartner, an animal lawyer. And, Suzana, just before the break, you had mentioned something that sort of, got me thinking. And I know that I've been involved in cases before where there seems to be a difference. Because you mentioned something about you should know your dog.
Yeah.
And if a dog bites somebody or another dog on leash, under control,
Yes.
the very first incident that, so the owner did not know or had any idea, versus how much more difficult or harder a judge would be if the dog had a history of this kind of behavior. In other words, was the owner knowingly not walking the dog with a muzzle on the dog or something?
That's right.
So that their lack of responsibility on the owner's part.
Yeah, no, that's definitely taken into consideration, at least in Ontario, with respect to the laws, and that should be factored in. And people, your viewers, should be aware of that if it is the first incident on record. So if it's reported, and there is, of course, liability. However, it is mitigated and reduced if there is a first incident. So if there were no other previous attacks, there was nothing reported, then the judges tend to be more lenient in those types of situations.
Right. Now, another case is, and I'm curious, and again, it differs per state as well here in the States.
Sure, of course.
And that is this. So you have two dogs walking, and, they seem too friendly. And all of a sudden, and this is often the case, a smaller dog becomes the instigator and tries to growl or bite up at the big dog, who then retaliates and takes a big chunk and obviously does much more damage.
Yes.
But it was really started because of the small dog.
Yeah, it's instigated.
And witnesses. So then what happens?
Yeah. Well, so that's taken into consideration, the negligence of the owner, the situation. So the circumstances, quote unquote, of what happened, how the incident occurred. And that's when you get experts such as yourself. So experts that can come in and speak otherwise of the dog's past history, temperament. In our province, and probably throughout North America, the experts are crucial in these cases because it's an expert such as yourself that can attest to the fact that the dog really isn't an aggressive dog. This was circumstantial, was provoked, for instance, by another dog. The smaller dog came up and or the dog was defending his or her property. I mean, I have cases such as those. So the mailman comes by, or another person's walking their dog, and a larger dog in his or her mind is guarding his territory, his property, but So to answer your question, yes, that should be factored in. Absolutely. And I would get experts involved. So the veterinarian, dog trainer, dog behavior experts can all speak to the temperament and past history of the dog. And that should certainly be factored into these situations.
Now, another question that it was near and dear to many of us a number of years ago, you may have heard about this case or not. But it has to do with proving ownership. What does it take? For example, a young veterinarian, a client of hers, brought in a cat that had no ID, no microchip, nothing, that was very sick. And just as a good Samaritan that many of us are, she sort of nursed this cat back to health, spent many, many weeks on her own dime bringing this cat. And it was, her staff and everybody posted how cute this cat was and how fantastic the doctor is, et cetera. And she just opened up her new practice. And, the intent would be, oh my God, this is going to be great for her new practice. Okay.
Yep.
She gets approached by an animal cat rescue group who has been feeding these cats. Oh, I should add the veterinarian ended up adopting this cat with all the work she put into it. Yep. All of a sudden, one day in the office, some lady comes in who claims that that's my cat.
Oh, no.
Well, because
who's the lady? Was she part of the rescue or just?
No, it was a rescue. It was a cat rescue lady who feeds a bunch of cats in a park.
Okay.
And this was one of the cats in the park.
Okay.
And she's claiming that it's her cat.
Oh my goodness.
Right? No proof, no picture ever with her with the cat.
Sure.
And she got all her, I'm going to say this very carefully.
Sure.
It's myself in between the
Of course.
line between animal welfare and animal rights.
Yep.
What we would call the humaniacs came in and started picketing her office.
Oh no.
She wouldn't give up the cat to this lady after she spent hundreds and hundreds of her own dollars and time rescuing and taking care of this cat with no ID. There was no proof. And the sad news is why it hit the news. This poor young doctor who just opened her practice ended up taking her life.
Whoa. What? No, I haven't heard of that, but I'm going to look into this case. She ended up taking her life? I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes.
That's terrible.
So at what point, I mean, I feel so badly because she never didn't have enough experience to even know where to go to go to an animal lawyer like yourself. This rescue group has no claim to this cat.
Oh, no,
it's a loose cat. You're feeding a cat. That doesn't mean it's yours. And if it was yours, why didn't you take it in to get it to the vaccine, to a vet?
Exactly.
Then you can have some proof that, yes, I've been taking care of this cat.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Work it out. I know you spent a lot of time, money. Let me pay you for it. There was nothing except she brought her cronies in, these whites, whatever.
Yeah.
Put this poor doctor up against the wall. And she
oh my goodness.
Bad press.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's why it's important to have more animal lawyers. So I shouldn't be one of the only ones, if I can just say bluntly. It's important. And it's also important to understand that, again, I go back to that principle of animals viewed as ownership. In the case law, determining ownership is what you just said, proof of ownership. So documentation. Who is paying for the care of the animal? So in that case, the cat, the veterinarian would have had a strong case. I mean, from what I can hear, and ownership would be determined by that in itself, by the fact that she took care of the cat, took the cat in, registration. So if she had registered the cat, paid for the expenses, then that would certainly be considered proof of ownership. And with respect to animal, as you said, I really like what you said, Jeff, with respect to animal rights and animal welfare, that is a fine balancing act, you see. And that's why the laws are there to protect owners from situations such as this. Because I've had similar situations. I mean, not that kind of case specifically, and that's a heartbreaking case. And I can't imagine, what that veterinarian went through. But that's the fine line and I don't like to use this word extremism, but with respect to ownership, it's that idea of who is taking care of the animal, because at the end of the day, that is important. That cat depended on veterinary medicine, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for this lady to say that she was feeding it, well, clearly the condition the cat was in hardly is taking care of the cat. The cat was emaciated. It was clearly sick. And if it was in good shape and she was doing a good job caring for the cat, it wouldn't have ended up in this doctor's office needing the help that it needed. I mean, it was so disappointing for all of us to hear.
That's disappointing.
And how some of these groups that are, like you said, extremism, taking it to the extreme to the point of hurting other people's lives without going through the process the right way is very frustrating and unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's unfortunate because there's so many wonderful, amazing rescues, that I deal with, and they're lovely human beings. And I would just say that with respect to these types of situations, that's why the courts exist. That's why lawyers exist, to help sort out these situations in a more civil, amicable manner if possible, or leave it to a judge's discretion to decide ownership rather than, picketing and trying to make someone's life miserable, if I may, and causing a disturbance. And even that's a horrible ending, obviously, to this case. Yeah. And I wonder what happened to the cat. Does anybody know? Or
that I don't know, but all I know is it was big in the news because we've talked about this on my show, but classically, in the medical profession, the highest suicide rates were dentists. And
I've read that actually.
In the last few years, sadly,
veterinarians.
I
have read that as well.
And I am like shocked and all, because look, I'm doing this in my 37th year and I can't imagine anything better than this. And when this happens, I hear about these stories of young veterinarians It's like, what did they not get? What did they not connect to? What did they not understand? How did they end up getting in the position where it was so dire?
Yeah.
Their solution.
Yeah.
And, I
well, it would have been great if she got a lawyer involved, you see, because there's libel, slander, and you can't just go around picketing in front of vet clinics without expecting some kind of repercussion, right? So that's totally important for veterinarians to know as well, that there, again, I go back to the whole rights and legal obligations, but as well that these are businesses that need to be protected and reputations. So you leave it to the legal system to resolve, or you get a lawyer, you get an attorney involved.
Totally, it's so true. And I've had heard of a number of cases where over the years where I say to myself, why didn't they call me? I would have helped them because I could turn a bad situation into a great situation.
Yeah, so can I. I'm the same way. Good. See, that's why we're getting along so well. Absolutely. There's always a solution.
I would have had this lady would have instead had people lining up around the corner to come to her.
Absolutely.
This veterinarian. But
absolutely.
She didn't know how to turn it around. It was very sad.
That's very
anyway,
sad.
Suzana, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much.
We're going to have you. We're going to pre-plan so we have you on camera.
Yeah, and I'll do the camera. Yeah, I absolutely would love to.
We'll get you better prepared. Now it looks like you need it, but we will. And then we'll kind of go from there. Anyway, thank you again for all of you. If you have any questions about animal law, would you please send them to me at drjeff@petliferadio.com. And I will pass them on to Suzana, and just to get an input, just to get some advice, only because it's really important. As she said, there are a lot of great instances where a lawyer would really help your case, whether it is a fight against the city, a fight against another owner because of a mishap between pets, between a dog bite case, whatever it may be. There may be some solutions that you can't think of right now, and I think you could use the help.
Yes, so, absolutely. Anyway. And I do consultations North America wide. I have, believe it or not, through my mediation practice, clients from California, from all over the States as well. So I'd be happy to offer a consultation. I have Instagram, Suzana Gartner, LinkedIn, so they can message me as well, or through you, either way, and I'd be happy to help. I
appreciate that so much. Thank you for your time this morning, and for all of your dads or granddads out there, happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
I got a great card. Parents. Yeah, right.
All the pet parents out there.
That's right. Your dad in my house. I got 9 pets.
Wow.
So yeah,
amazing.
But anyway, so it was funny. My oldest daughter got me a card, and she's a mom of 2 of my grandkids. Anyway, so you open up, it says, Dad, after all these years, I finally found out, how something about how my unique a girl like me is. And then you open it up, and it shows a $20 bill going down a toilet bowl.
Oh.
And then she puts down all the things over the years that she basically pissed my money away. So for good
that's
cause.
So funny. Well, I didn't know you were a granddad. Dad, you look so much younger. So there you go.
Thank you. No, I got 4 grandkids already.
Oh wow.
Amazing. Anyway, so all is good. Happy Father's Day, and we will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Here, Pet Life Radio. It's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff, 9 a.m. in the West. And if you have any questions, you can, as I said, reach me either again at Dr. Jeff Werber on Facebook, Jeff Werber, all the ways. And always you can email me at drjeff@petliferadio.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.